Topic 1. Market rotation and rising yields. Institutional rotation across thematic baskets has driven broad selling in blue chips, which Jim Cramer frames as a buying opportunity and highlights 5 names: Johnson & Johnson, PepsiCo, Starbucks, Constellation Brands, and TJX. Rising U.S. Treasury yields are shaping market reactions and option prices. The reports cite the 30-year at 5.031%, the 10-year at 4.515%, and the 2-year at 4.141%. And upcoming data and FOMC minutes, plus key earnings like Pepsi on 7/9 and J&J on 7/15, are focal points for rate and sector flows. SpaceX's NASDAQ 100 inclusion, enabled by a rule change allowing inclusion 15 days after IPO, will start with a very small initial weight because of low float, under about 5% early on, but could boost passive ETF demand, raise hedging and options activity, implied vol near 92%, and call-heavy flows, and expand influence if future lockup releases raise float. Topic 2. Auto and EV sector shakeup. Rivian's move into the mainstream with a midsize R2 SUV and a planned offering of roughly 75 million Class A shares, plus an underwriter option, to raise about $1.5 billion, sent its stock sharply lower amid concerns about dilution and profitability. Estimated cash was $4.8 in Q1 and $5.3 in Q2, but consensus sees significant cash burn and possible further fundraising before meaningful profit. Tesla remains dominant in sales, but faces valuation scrutiny despite production and delivery strength, while Stellantis is testing ultra-low-cost EV demand with the Fiat Topolino priced from $13,995, $14,985 delivered, for limited short-range urban use, and Toyota is investing about $3.6 billion to shift Tacoma output back to Texas, to boost U.S. production capacity to roughly 350,000 units by 2030 and add about 2,000 jobs. Together, these moves intensify EV Main Street competition on price, production, and positioning. Topic 3. Tech and energy innovation risks and investments. Google led a roughly $411 million, about $468 million, financing of German fusion startup Proxima Fusion, valuing it near $2.7 billion as the company pursues a Stellarator demo in the early 2030s and commercial targets later in the decade with investments in HTS magnets and manufacturing. Fusion is a high-potential but high-uncertainty long-term clean energy bet. Meanwhile, exploding data center electricity demand is stressing grids now. PJM capacity prices soared about 1,038% in 2 years, from $28.92 to $329.07 day, and firms report capacity charge shocks. Examples: Belden Brick monthly capacity fees jumping $1,600 to $12,000, and Plastolite's annual charges climbing $200 to $1.2 megadollars, prompting manufacturers to raise prices, shift production hours, or consider on-site generation. Regulators are weighing demand management and tariff changes, including proposals to charge for on-site generation transmission use. So policy must balance promoting big clean tech investments while protecting grid stability and manufacturing competitiveness. Topic 4. Geopolitics and defense tensions. 3 vessels near the Strait of Hormuz were struck in recent attacks that revived regional security fears. Reports cite a Qatari LNG carrier hit and ablaze off Oman and damage to a Saudi-flagged tanker, with no immediate casualty reports and oil prices moving higher. Brent around $72.88, WTI about $69.26, reflecting added geopolitical risk premium. Iran has signaled control over approved routes and even the prospect of fees, while diplomatic talks with the U.S. remain stalled amid domestic events, increasing shipping uncertainty and rerouting costs. International attention is on registration, routes, and potential naval responses. In defense industry fallout, South Korea's Hanwha Ocean saw its stock plunge about 23% after losing Canada's submarine contract to ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems, a result that feeds into broader NATO procurement, alliance politics, and troop deployment debates tied to high-profile political remarks. Topic 5. Retail, politics, and consumer prices. Walmart's seasonal rollbacks on some